Okay.
We should be live.
Oh, we're live? Uh-oh. That means I actually have to do things now. So yeah, welcome to Dandara 100%. Did we meet the incentive for, stuff?
Oh, yeah, I should probably,
Yeah, you should probably check that.
It's been a long night for me. Hold up, let me check it.
Take your time.
Okay. Well, we did meet the incentive. It's a little bit cheating, but you yourself donated $30.
Oh yeah, hey, how about that? That was great. Good job, everyone.
Cheating.
Hey, it's not cheating.
Thank you so much. Donating to your own incentive.
Hey man, there's a second incentive we have not quite met yet, I believe.
Ooh, right,
so
right,
if
right.
if you guys, anybody in the crowd want to be freed, you want to see the people free, like, feel free to donate. It's only 30 bucks.
30?
So, if everyone donates like a meme, I'm sure we'll make it.
If everyone watch, these Wikipedia adverts. If everyone donates $1 right now,
If everyone donates, yo, they do that on like everything.
On to you.
All right, so we may as well get this run started, I guess. So I'll give you guys a countdown real quick. So in 3, 2, 1, going. So yeah, if anybody caught this any percent run during Midwest Speed Fest, we are once again back with 100%. 100% pretty simply refers to 100% exploration and 100% chests. We do not need to get any form of formal upgrades, but we will be grabbing up everything because it is in chests. In the first minute of this game, we have the most difficult section as well, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And you might wonder, okay, well, what's the most difficult section? It just so happens to be the tutorial rooms that were added to this game to be the hardest section of the game. And the reason that they're so difficult is because a lot of these jumps are not only precise, but very, you have to do them very quickly. So I will be trying my best to get through this. Hopefully we don't die, but always the chance. Ooh, I didn't get caught. Okay, good. So yeah, that's the hardest part of the run right over there. The incentive that everyone donated for was revenge projectiles, and I'll explain how those work real quick. Anytime anything dies in this game with revenge projectiles on, it'll spawn a projectile that aims at my location and will fire in a straight line after a delay. And as you could guess, this can be problematic when we need to actually kill enemies, but when we don't need to, we'll just try to go past them when we can. This does make some bosses notably much more difficult, and it makes other ones kind of a meme just because there's so many projectiles on screen. So we'll try to be doing the best we can with those when they come up. The first thing we're going to do is grab the Arrow of Freedom, which really improves our damage output throughout the game. We grab it early, just so that we can have it for the first boss and hopefully get a 1 cycle on the first boss, for the first phase of the first boss, that is. So yeah, the next thing that's kind of important throughout this game is death warping. Death warping we do pretty much anytime we're in a dead end when it takes a while to get back. This means that most checkpoints, which are flags in this, will be used prevalently so that we can death warp a lot more often. Ooh, goodness, that's gonna make this room a little awkward. Okay. And then obviously, as you can see, we have the movement of Dandara, and I guess I've taken a little too long to mention it this time. But the movement in this game is very unique. We can aim pretty much in a 360 motion, and every jump happens very quickly. So doing this properly, we can go kind of breeze through this game really quickly. Did I pick up the first shot? Okay, good. I'm just checking I picked up the map there. One thing I always forget when I switch between any percent and 100% is the map. That's because it's in a very just kind of obvious in the way chest, and so oftentimes I'll forget to pick it up and I'll be like, oh, well, there goes my 100% run. There's the first example of a revenge projectile trying to hit us. There will be rooms that are a lot more difficult to dodge, so hopefully that will be pretty entertaining when we get to those. This NPC here activates the green panels, which lets us go further. We'll be running into an NPC that activates purple ones as well. If you saw the any percent run, this is not that much different from the any percent run. This is mainly because the beginning area doesn't really have that many extra areas to go into. So we're going to be mostly just trying to pick up where we can, when we can, and after that, we're not going to worry too much about it. The later areas of the game, though, we do need to do quite a bit of extra picking up of stuff, mainly chests and rooms. One thing that is kind of one of the weirdest pieces of trivia about this game is that everything in this game is salt. Our currency for upgrades, that's salt. These like platforms we're jumping on, that's not glue, that's salt. The health potions are called essence of salt. Then there's like, I think there's essence of salt, and I can't remember what the other one, but it's also salt. Everything's salt. I think the boss is salty too. Oh. Don't want to forget that. We do have a few early benchmarks for upgrades to get. We need to get about 5 hearts of health. We would prefer to get an extra potion health as well. Oop. Get out of here. We'd prefer to get an extra potion health as well, and then a second bar of energy. These are useful throughout different places. Extra potion is actually probably one of the strongest upgrades in the game. Because we'll be collecting a lot of potions. Every time you upgrade your potion, it heals 1 more heart. And that's obviously a lot more health that we can work with throughout the game. The health minimums is basically to make sure that we don't get one-shot by some things. And the energy is useful for just doing general damage. Though we don't have access to energy yet, because we don't have access to our first ability that uses it. This is the first boss tank. That was the first boss tank. Mini-boss, rather. And as you can tell, that was a hard fight. I'm happy we made it out of that one. So now we activated the purple panels and we can get to a little bit more areas. We're going to be going off to a little side area that's not really required to get another potion and a couple chests. We're going to be going through what is called Garantindo bars, which sounds like the Nintendo guarantee turned into like one word. I don't know why I mentioned that, I just think it's really funny. And because of the exploration requirement, some rooms we're just going to kind of just look at them and leave. I think we do that 2 or 3 times in the run. Oh goodness. Things are coming after us. Camera's not coming after us though. It doesn't feel like keeping up with us, I guess. This is our second potion we'll be grabbing here. There's 9 potions throughout the game, which is pretty ridiculous. Something that is apparent and useful to 100% that's not useful to any percent is that every time we collect a new potion, not only do we get that potion to use instantly, but we also get all of our potions just refilled. So if we had 5 potions and we got another new potion, if we had 0 potions left to use and we grabbed a new one, we'd have 6 potions left to use at that point, which is pretty useful in certain long sections that are used that we do in any percent or 100%. While we're entering doorways and things of the sort, we do have invincibility. We do have a small amount of invincibility as well while we're opening chests. And there are moments where I try to use that to my best advantage to prevent taking damage. This section of the game is kind of a natural maze, and pretty luckily for the 100% run, we only have to go through it twice, which is about as good as it could get. Mainly because every loop around this place takes a very long amount of time, and there's certain points where it's kind of like a point of no return, where we just have to keep going until we get to this room called Illusionary Way. So we're on the way to grab our first special. That special is the Johnny B missile. I sometimes like to call it the Papa John missile because, you know, I like pizza. I got that problem. I'm sure a lot of people got that problem though. Though I will admit, I think Papa John's a little weak on the pizza scale. Don't tell Papa John that though. He'll get upset, I think. So you might notice some of the bizarre imagery kind of in these early areas, and one thing to note about the development team for this game is that they're all from Brazil. And this area is somehow inspired by the streets of Brazil, and I have to say, you guys have they must be having some crazy things going on down there, because they got like cupcake graffiti. They got this guy over here who's, I don't even know what he's doing. But it's pretty wild, and I like it. So we're grabbing our first special, like I mentioned before, Johnny B missile. Specifically, what it does is for the cost of a fifth of a barometer, we can use one, and they can destroy walls, as seen, or I can hit stuff that's not a wall. It's really quick to use, unlike our regular attack, which requires charging. We can use it instantaneously. It has long range. It has a certain distinct advantages over the regular attack. I didn't need to do that. Playing bad. But yeah, you know, big shout outs to all you guys for being here, part of the late night crew, you know? The real crew. Real PoleCat hours, unlike those fake PoleCat hours that are like, you know, whatever they consider work and stuff. We're going to be going for the one cycle on this boss. It's pretty simple. All I have to do is hit his two hands enough times. And hopefully, if I hit it too many times on the first hand, the second one won't spawn. And sometimes they'll just spawn on top of each other and you can't get them at all. So, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Oh, they spawned right on top of each other. That is really bad luck. So this first boss actually is made quite a bit more difficult by these revenge projectiles popping up. Kind of was why I was hoping I would skip the first phase, but luckily we didn't take too many hits there. He is not spawning any friends. That is really good. Yeah, get out of here with that. So usually how that second phase goes is he spawns a bunch of guys on platforms, and with his friends dying, they spawn more projectiles, and it becomes really messy with revenge projectiles. So I was pretty lucky how that pattern went. There have been a lot of comments on how the first boss looks like he's from Street Fighter. Fun fact about the boss, I guess I could say, is that they modeled it after one of the devs' faces. So I guess the devs just include all members of Street Fighter in it. I'm guessing Ryu is the programmer. So we picked up the first of the movement abilities. All the movement abilities are technically required to beat the game. And they're all pretty simple. They all give you kind of a small advantage when you're near something. The first one we grabbed, which is the kind of green gear looking thing, it's pretty simple. All it does is every time we're near a platform that has its color and stuff, that worked out really well, has its color and stuff, we get to enjoy a longer jump, which is very useful for getting to the next area, and is obviously once again required. Oh goodness, oh my goodness. So here we picked up the first yellow potion. Those restore energy. Throughout a 100% run, I don't tend to make too much use of them, and that's just because potions take a while to use, and I find it more beneficial to be leveling up my energy instead rather than leveling up my energy restoration. One thing you can do to kind of help your movement in rooms that look like that, where they just have a top and a bottom, is just kind of hold the same angle for every jump. That way, the game kind of reflects your jump angle back upwards if you're holding it into the ground, which is pretty useful for going fast in this game. There's a lot of little kind of like movement tricks you can do, but nothing is really major. It's all just kind of like how you're holding the C stick. So movement in this game is very straightforward. So we're getting on to the second area of the game, and that is the Desert Library. Oof, I'm getting beat up. And Desert Library is a pretty interesting area for 100%. And that's because even though it's kind of designed to be kind of, difficult to get around, there's a lot of things we can do, despite all that, to get to where we need to quickly. Oh goodness, there we go. I was going to say that room was really good, and then I screwed it up, so good job, me. He tried to get me, you know. Actually, he just tried to waste time. He just sat there. He was like, what's up? Okay, so I'm starting to hit some of my early benchmarks. The extra potion's really useful in this next section, just because of the amount of required damage I have for my skips. So one of the things I said that was kind of interesting about this area is that there's a very large main room that just has all sorts of holes in it that we can use to jump through, but you can't normally do that unless you kind of make some funny jumps to do so. Hello, there we go. Jumps can be precise from time to time, and they are difficult to line up when you do have not very much angle to work with. So what was this called? I think it was a salt infusion. Yeah, infusion of salt. There it is. So we're going for our first skip here. Ooh, we missed that. Let's see if we can get it this time. Come on. There we go. There we go. That is a little difficult to line up. So that's the first one. But you know, if that wasn't enough for you guys, like I got a second one right here. Ooh, wow, I'm really off on these. I'm so sorry. Oh, that's not gonna work. But that's just the reason I level up potions there, even though energy could possibly save you more time. But luckily, we are collecting another infusion of salt, just so the game knows how I feel right now. I can tell you how I feel right now, rather. Just opening a switch for later and raising a flag. The flag is just for safety. I don't really need it in a run. It technically loses time to raise it. Oh goodness. Okay, there we go. So we're coming up on the next mini-boss, which is the Antlion. In any percent, we can't really do much about Antlion cycles. We can kind of 2-cycle him, but that doesn't really save too much time. In this, we'll try to 1-cycle him, and that actually saves much more time over the awful 2-cycle that's really slow. So hopefully we can get that today, but, you know, if we don't, I won't be too surprised. So I mentioned just how kind of overall generally useful Johnny B is, but I didn't mention too many reasons why. Another reason it's useful is just how cheap it is. In cases where we have things to spin on, we can use it to quick spin in cases like that, and it saves us a little bit of time charging overcharging attacks instead. So this is a very big antlion. I'm not sure what kind of species that is. There we go. That was a proper 2-cycle. That looked really clean. Or proper 1-cycle. Excuse me. I got any percent on my mind. And this is the next of the kind of required movement abilities. This one is pretty specific. It activates a lot of traps in the area, but also activates moving platforms, letting us access new areas. Ouch. 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 Okay, I'm alive. So, those little blue orbs are probably like my least favorite enemy to deal with in a lot of cases. In those rooms they're not too bad, but clearly I was not playing the best right there. So we're going to be coming up on our next ability here. It's called the Memory Shaft, which is another damage dealing one, but it's not too particularly useful for damage. Its main use throughout the run is damage boosting, actually. And every time Dandara gets hit in this game, she kind of like moves a little bit away. And so in a lot of cases, taking damage or damage boosting is going to save you a little bit of time. Or in some cases, it makes areas that are normally inaccessible accessible. So this is kind of the main part of the desert library. The rest of this is going to be cleanup. And a lot of cleanups actually happen during the run. We don't have to do too much backtracking to get cleanups done. Ouch. So here you can kind of see some of the traps activate. This next room is just absolutely chock filled with projectiles and things going on. It's a really scary room to have to go through. And you know, like, I would say that for most people, this room is actually pretty difficult casually. But the nice thing is we don't even have to go through that room because of our skips. So, thank you, skips. Wow, I can't believe this chat is so dirty. Here we are, we're collecting another red potion, red orb, whatever we should call it. Salt essence. And the last major skip we have of the run is actually coming up really soon. Almost all the skips for 100% are in Desert Library, and that's just because it saves a lot on the movement we have to do. The normal way we would have to get out of this, like, kind of, when the traps activate, it kind of becomes this natural maze, and it becomes a little bit of a pain to get out. But, oh, I missed it. But hopefully we can get past this, this wall here, this troll wall. Yeah, Can't troll me today. Timing for that is not so bad. It's the angle you have to hit very quickly. Ouch. Oh, he's gonna be in the way. What a jerk. Oh. Jump so hard. One thing that is difficult to do in a run of this game is accurate jumping. It's very easy to make a lot of jumps really quickly, but it's not so easy to make them accurately. Ouch. There we go. That'll do. So here we are, we have our next potion. And another death warp. These death warps are kind of placed all over the place. One of the things that was added to the newest patch of this game is the ability to death warp in menu, and this ended up saving a pretty sizable amount of time in the early game of this, but it also added some extra flags as well, so we can have other places to death warp from. The only one that is particularly interesting in terms of flags that they added was the one in that room. Oh no. Jump low, thank you. So this next room it's not a hard room, but it's easily my least favorite room in the game. That's just because all of these sand blobs, or whatever you want to call them, they like to follow you around. The interesting mechanic behind these guys is every time they die, they'll respawn in about 5 seconds or something like that. And with revenge projectiles on, that means you can kill one, it'll spawn a revenge projectile, it'll respawn itself, and then you can kill it again and it'll spawn another revenge projectile. And it becomes a little bit of a cycle, you could say. One thing that's worth mentioning versus my run at Midwest Speedfest is that this run is happening on PC now. There's a big reason for PC in that the PC version is the fastest. And if you're curious as to why this is, it's because it has to do with the fact that the PC version enjoys a pretty sizable advantage in that every room the game autosaves, and so it takes quite a bit of time. And PC just can be the fastest at getting those saves in. That was pretty slow, but that's okay. So I mentioned that there's revenge projectiles and what they do. There's three other optional difficulties right at the start, and they show up after your first playthrough of the game, and they all do different things. But for like a 100% run, the only one that really makes a sizable difference, and a difference that you'll like notice by the end of the game, is revenge projectiles. The other two that like completely change what your run is going to look like. There's double damage, which means I'd have to change my route up. And it's pretty rough to work with. There's permadeath, and it's pretty obvious why permadeath is not really something I want to do in a marathon run, but also there's the fact that permadeath makes it so I can't do all my death warps, which is going to cost quite a bit of time as well. And then the last one is no salt drops from enemies, which, because we fight so few enemies and get salt drops, it's not as useful. So this is the second boss. Pretty obvious, it's the second major boss, rather. And we use a damage boost rather than jumping on those platforms that popped up. The reason for this is because you'll have to like run around the arena once again, and that wastes time, unfortunately. It's pretty interesting that you can do that, but because it doesn't do enough damage, it really doesn't make all that much difference. Someone asked in chat if there's permadeath categories, and the thing about the community for the game, it's very, very small. There's very few runners, so there are currently no permadeath categories. So our friend the Heart boss, normally it's skipped entirely in any percent, but because it spawns 3 chests, we have no choice but to do it in 100%. Another thing to mention on that boss, unfortunately because I didn't get it, there is a magic pixel where you will not get hit by the attack whatsoever. And it's pretty rare, but it actually does kind of make runs easier because you don't have to worry about your health after the fight or during the fight. Oh goodness. Calm down everybody, calm down. Oh my goodness. Everyone's just wants to beat me up. Like, I'm just trying to like go through the neighborhood. They're all mad at me. So I'm going to be picking up 1 potion, 1 health. I'm going to be doing this in a couple camps, just because it really improves survivability by quite a bit. Energy at this point is not too useful for combat, so it doesn't get too many upgrades as of yet. There will be a point, though, where we kind of dump a ton into energy, because not only do we finally get an ability to that uses it very well, we also get a lot of extra salt, and to a point where we don't really need it for health upgrades anymore. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, I need to explain why I'm talking like this all of a sudden. That does 4 damage. That laser hurts a lot, and I hope you can count the number of hearts I have right now. So we're on our way to the next mini-boss. A boss I simply refer to as Bird. I didn't see that, did I? There we go. I saw it. The Bird mini-boss isn't that bad. If you have a laggy controller like I used to play on, the Joy-Cons, it's a very hard boss in that case. So hopefully that does not happen to us today. Another good use of quick spins there. Without the use of quick spins, we actually can't get that room in first cycle. And that's the only use of quick spins in any percent as well, which is pretty interesting to me. Why would you do that? I forgot to mention that this bird's a jerk. Oh, goodness. How are you still alive? Okay, we got him. So we're going to be grabbing up the next required movement ability. This is the... I actually don't remember what this is called. It's the Stone of Intention or something like that. They're all rocks or pearls or something like that. And this one, if you notice the purple kind of like looking panels, they will flip when we have that, as long as we're pressing A. And that's very prolific throughout the game. There are ways we can get past those pads without the use of that. But unfortunately, it almost always requires us to use like 4 health to do so, and a bar of energy, and that's just not worth it, because anytime one pops up, like 3 of them pop up. Ouch. So at this point, we're gonna go discover a camp, and that doesn't sound like it's gonna be very useful, but it will be useful later, I promise. It's not me getting lost, trust me. Oh, goodness. So yeah, we discovered the camp. Now we're going to make our way back across the bridge that we went through. If you haven't played the game before, the game actually says that bridge is a bridge of no return. That's a big dirty lie. It is definitely a bridge of return, because there's you can go underneath it. There's stuff underneath the bridge. Imagine that. So yeah, this area under the bridge is kind of awkward. There's a lot of enemies in tight spaces, but there's also a lot of like rotating spike traps and stuff of that sort. Well, not rotating spike traps, but like alternating, alternating, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but they pop, the spikes pop up alternating. English is hard, okay? Ouch. I saw that coming too. This area can become really messy with all these bubbles. Everything does 1 damage around here, but you can get knocked around a lot. And our health is actually pretty useful, or pretty important for these next sections. The reason for this is pretty simple. We go pretty far without a camp. So keeping a track on our potion count and not overusing them is important. Beautiful. So we're entering Dreamlands now. Normally in any percent you don't see more than like 2 screens of Dreamlands. We're going to be seeing all of Dreamlands, and Dreamlands is pretty infamous to most runners for just being really, really hard. I'm going to go to the right. This kind of opening area, it looks kind of like a mess. You can't really figure out where you're going. But depending on whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise, the game spits you out in different areas. These chests here, this seems like kind of like a gold mine of chests here, but if you kind of like see how much I'm getting, like I think the most, like this one contains a lot for this area, and this is 300. Some of these actually contain 8 salt, which is, you know, it's amazing. I can go get myself an ice cream cone, I guess. Salt flavor, of course. There's no other flavor available. This is the first example of damage boosting. And normally I would just kind of try to jump through that again. My invulnerability frames could last long enough, but they also could not, and I'd take more damage. And that's not very fun. Oh, no. Okay, that was really close to being really bad. So this is another really, really difficult room. There's like projectiles everywhere, and like there's some enemies, and we only have to visit it, so that's nice. That room makes no sense. There's just stuff flying. There's eggs all over the place, man. You might get an egg on your face. You don't want that. So here we are grabbing the next arrow of freedom. I got hit while I was in a cutscene. That's awesome. But anyways, yeah, this is the next arrow of freedom. This means that every time we take a shot, instead of shooting 4 bullets, now we shoot 5. That means our damage goes up by 1. It's very useful. Ow, my face. And in my first playthrough, I actually did not 100% this area, because there is no map for this area. If you open the map for this area, it looks like this. You can't really see anything there. Go to the left. And so now we're going through an area we like to call Fake Town. it's not fun for most runners. I've gotten better at it as I've been playing, but the thing about Fake Town is once you enter it, if you try to leave, you're stuck in Fake Town. So yeah, that's a lot of fun right there. There's also quite a few hidden chests in Fake Town, and so we will be trying to do our best to grab all of it. Excuse me, pardon me. Jeez, everyone's so mean today. Ooh, we are getting beat up. One thing that 100% has the pleasure of doing is taking a lot of damage boosts. Any percent really doesn't have such ability to do so. So there we got the next damaging ability, which is the Anxiety Shock. Anxiety Shock is by far the best of all the abilities for combat. The damage it does is unparalleled compared to anything else. It does immediate damage, just damage over time. It's just really good at destroying things. And we'll be using it for combat later when we're forced to. We'll be using it on the next mini-boss coming up, actually. And hopefully that goes well. And oh, goodness. That map's actually... I probably should have said that room's not easy. But, yeah. There are many runs that have died to this room. So the strategy for this boss is hopefully we can set up two of these orbs to continuously hit them as they bounce between them. But that usually doesn't happen. So we just take whatever damage we can get from it. Okay, we got rid of one of them. That's pretty good. Stop going on the walls. Man, that's not very nice. You can shoot eggs at me while you're in the wall, but I can't shoot eggs at you while you're in the wall. That's not very fair. Okay, so at this point we get the last of the required movement abilities. And this is the, I believe it's called the Pearl of Dreams. And what it does, it lets us travel between any camp that we've been to and any camp that we've seen. So all those camps that you noticed me like just kind of looking at earlier, you know, just like longing to be there. The entire reason was to visit the camp so I could use it for this reason. But before we go to the final area, we need to do some cleanups, specifically in Intention Capital, where we've done hardly anything here. There's a reason that we save it for this point in the game, and that's because of this kind of switch puzzle over here. The other ways we could get about getting over there would involve some damage boosting, and we're just not interested in that. It takes too long. This is easily the room that no one ever finds in their first playthrough. If you found this room in your first playthrough, you're lying. I want you to know that. Oh, make it to the door, please. Thank you. This is easily my favorite area in the game. I love the music. I love all the different mechanics being shown off. I don't like getting stuck. Oh, I died. I'm very good at this game. I wasn't watching my health. I apologize. Let's try that room again. I have never seen that visual bug before. We'll pretend we didn't see that right now. We'll look at that later. Because that was wild. I've never seen platforms dip down like that. So we're coming up across the next ability, and you probably were going to say, wow, all those other abilities sound really useful. I assume this one's really good too. And the answer is no. Really no, super no, incredibly no. This ability is really bad and not very useful throughout the run. We technically don't even need it in any percent, but there are moments where you can use it because it is the easiest to use for one puzzle, and that's about it. But yeah, that's Logic Blast. Nah, get me out of here. So we're gonna be going through some short puzzles in these rooms. Not too much going on here. It's pretty, it's gonna be pretty straightforward what we're doing. Oh goodness. Though, if my jumps are bad, I'm gonna be complaining about it. Small puzzle to get this salt infusion. Yeah. Then we're going to be going through a hidden wall. This is, I think, one of the few things that any percent bothers to pick up in Intention Capital, just because it's so close to a camp. We enter back out the door we went through because of door transitions. Wow, that's bad movement. Because of door transitions. Door transitions in this game, I have not explained that yet today. But door transitions are pretty simple. They all take about 3-4 seconds, and they're really crucial to speeding up your run by removing the number of door transitions you have. Ouch. So the following room after this one, or after we pick up our next ability, is easily the hardest room with Revenge Projectiles because we need to manage our meter quite properly. So hopefully that goes well. This next item is called the Bracers of the Patient, and this is easily the best ability in a casual playthrough of the game. For expending energy, you can simply press, like, I think one of the trigger buttons, and it makes you completely invulnerable to damage. We'll only use it once for this required puzzle, right in the next room, but I just want to make it clear, it's not bad. I think some of the earliest runs of any percent picked up that item just to make the second boss easier. But nowadays we don't even get to the second boss, so. We're just about done cleaning up Capital, which is really nice because we'll be able to go to the final area of the game. And I do need to ask, hopefully to the stream team that is listening, the stream moderators, if we're going to be meeting the donation incentive for freeing the people, because I need to know that pretty soon now. So you might notice we have a lot of salt. We're going to use a lot of salt too. The incentive is, so for those in the chat that don't know what the incentive is about, the incentive is for freeing the people in the final area. Oops. In the final areas. They're all stuck on treadmills, man. And they're all working. But we need to free them. And if you wish to see them freed, you can simply donate to the cause. To the cause of St. Jude's, I believe. So we're picking up one of the last potions before Golden Fortress. There we go. That is our one entire use of the Logic Blast. Get out of here, bee. So one thing about returning to flag is we can't do it while we're like not able to act. So if we ever pause while getting hit, it is a little bit of an annoyance. I'm going to assume we did not meet the incentive because it does not seem anyone has told me otherwise. So we're in this area. We're in the final area of the game, which is Golden Fortress. And Golden Fortress it's not too difficult for 100%. It used to be super difficult because of certain rooms that we had to do, but we found ways to skip those, and well, 100%'s been a much easier category because of it since. This will be the first use of Anxiety Shock and showing just how strong it can be. There we go. Oh, that was the wrong spot. I apologize. Buttons are hard. So we're going to be making our way into the heart of Golden Fortress. And if you saw those turrets we fought, the reason we fight those is because when we fight them, that opens up. And we can use that Death Warp to get ourselves closer. Ouch. So one thing that is used in any percent is a Death Warp so that we don't have to go through the entire section at once with so little HP. But for 100%, because we have like 7 potions that all restore 5 health, we actually have availability in terms of how much health we can work with here. So we'll be trying to go through all of this, at least the first 4 locks with just the base amount of potions we have. That's the first lock that features mainly projectiles. This next lock features a lot of these burly boys, big boys. And their patterns are pretty simple to work through. They will try to jump to the ground every time I jump to the ceiling, and vice versa. Ouch. And the little shockwaves they send out do 3 damage. They're very nasty to work around. Oh, I missed that. So even though we don't want to free these guys because it takes time, this one's kind of required to get past that laser there. There are ways we could damage boost to get past that, but they wouldn't work out too well, so we don't bother with it. Ouch. Ouch. Ooh, that is unfortunate. He noticed us early. There are ways to get past him if he doesn't notice here, so it's a little awkward. That's a really hard room. I'm joking, that room's completely free. This next room, though, is a little bit difficult to navigate the round of projectiles. Though, luckily for 100%, I'm just going to damage boost, because I'm not feeling the mood to dance around today. Ooh, that's not good. So there's an example of the bird enemy showing up again. One thing that you might not notice is that he actually has less health than he did before. Ooh. Ooh. Oof. There we go. So we damage boost to get to there just because the intended way of getting there is very slow. And this is our next potion. The nice thing about there being 2 potions located in Golden Fortress is that each of them give us a potion refill. So we don't have to worry about running out of potions too much. So we're getting close to the final camp, which is right before the final boss, obviously. But we can't go directly to the final boss just yet. What we need to do first is we need to do the last of the collecting. And there's quite a few items in the last of the collecting. There's a lot of salt to be had. There's 2 potions, 1 yellow, 1 red, and 1 last arrow of freedom. All of which are like kind of nice. It's just kind of weird that they're so far towards the end of the game. This room is getting very claustrophobic. Okay, good. That room is very bad to die in. We'd have to do the 3rd and 4th lock over again. We don't want to do that. This is going to be the last opportunity to use salt, so we're going to do that. Now we're kind of in this side area. This really is where like the kind of like final challenges are at. Luckily for us, though, the hardest room in the game we will be skipping. And the reason for this is because of just death warping past it. These lasers look like a problem, but they only deal 1 damage, so we're not going to worry about them. One thing to note is that these saw blades, I believe they do 3 damage. I think they used to do 4 though. They were really rough to get hit by back in the day. Ugh. Now we're coming up on kind of the last of the stuff we gotta get. So yeah, kind of an example of anxiety shock is just so worth the value of using it. And here we are, we're picking up the final Arrow of Freedom. This actually makes our attacks really powerful. Hitting for like 6 bullets a shot is actually kind of incredible whenever we do get the chance to use it. So we should be at 100% chests, and we are. So now we just need to warp back, hit the switch for the final boss, and go beat him up. This the final boss himself actually enjoys quite the buff during his second phase from having revenge projectiles on. You will notice me darting around a lot to avoid them. There are 2 things to keep a note with the final boss. The first is on phase 1. He's a giant TV, and he can crush us at any moment. You know, just like TVs from like, I don't know, just like CRTs like to do. You know, if you don't look, if you aren't watching it, they'll just crush you. So we don't want that to happen. And during the second phase, we do need to watch out for just all the masks that can pop up as well. Especially another attack called eggs that I like to just call eggs, and he shoots eggs at us. Those waste quite a bit of time to get out of the way of them. Ooh, we don't want to get hit by that. All right, so here we are, second phase. We're getting ready. We're getting pretty close to time. For anybody who's paying, for hopefully whoever's timing this, you can pay a little bit of attention. And there's a revenge projectile showing up. Yeah, we have to. Those are pretty disruptive to get hit by. Oh, I got hit by both. Good job, man. Oh, he went straight for that. Oh goodness, things are getting messy. Okay, we got him though. And time is when the final time of the game pops up, which is right after this cutscene. And that's time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed some beautiful, beautiful 100%. Oh no. That's actually not that far off of my PB, so that's actually a pretty good run to get in Marathon. A lot of things can go wrong in 100% to make it keeping it quick. So I hope you guys enjoyed Dandara 100%. You know, if you guys really enjoyed Dandara 100%, you know, you should maybe think about picking up the game. It's a lot of fun. But I also have one other thing to kind of like slough up on you guys, and that is coming up is a another event that we could be at. And in order to get in, we need to win the popular vote. And you know, for anybody in the chat that wants to give us a hand on Twitter, you know, like I'll drop a link down below. And you know, you guys ever want to give us a little bit of a hand, you know, just give us a little bit, just give us a vote, man. I'd be so happy. I mispronounced everything, so my bad.
Yeah, thank you so much for that run.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so coming up, we'll go into a little transition here. We'll be getting Godfather going, so everybody stick around.